We're back.
Hello.
Well, not the headless YouTuber, and her trusty pug Pudge and trusty husband Vince. We're doing the Q&A that I said I was going to do a long time ago. I had Instagram ask me some questions, so we're going to answer them while I overlay a video of me doing something planty. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but I'm going to try and sync both of these videos together somehow. I got us some beverages.
Oh, nice. No, not for puppies. Not for puppies. Oh, poor guy.
What?
I'm so sorry, but
oh, you can't have beer.
Snip. Cheers, baby.
Cheers. Let's do. I'm just gonna ask the questions in the order they came through.
Sure.
And he hasn't seen any of these questions yet. It's just gonna hit them as they come. Okay. So, first question, do you also love plants?
Yeah, I do love plants. I never myself really had any plants that I owned or was solely responsible for taking care of, really at probably any stage of my life. But growing up with my mom and our family, we did always have plants at home. So yeah, home has always meant having some form of plants, but like I said, just none that I necessarily ever took care of myself. I still don't think I probably know how to properly take care of plants, even living with CHARMAINE for as long as I have now.
But you do have the rubber tree at work.
I do have the rubber tree at work, and it's very low maintenance. I water it once a week. Just have it in a nice spot at my desk at work where it gets good sunlight. I mean, a few leaves have fallen, unfortunately, over the years. But yeah, no, overall yeah. Let's just say that's probably the extent of the plant care I should ever be responsible for in my life.
Okay. Fair enough. Are any of the plants in your house yours?
No, not in the house. No, like you said, I have the one rubber plant at home, at work rather, but here, no, I wouldn't say so.
No. How do you feel about living in a plant museum?
I mean, it took some getting used to it first, because when we moved in together originally, which would have been early 2017, CHARMAINE had plans, but not obviously nearly as many as she does now. So it's more just been a transition for me, I suppose, getting used to there being more plants, but it's never been something that I disliked or thought there should be less. It's obviously something that gives her great joy to have as much foliage around as she does, and to me that's perfectly fine. I love that she loves having all the plants around, and the fact that a lot of our space gets taken up by it doesn't really bother me at all. So yeah, no, it's actually quite nice, and like kind of seeing how it's evolved over time. Obviously a lot of tropicals and stuff like that, but then there was a period where she started getting more cacti, and it's just like, yeah, no, it's been fun to see and yeah, just to kind of watch her collection grow. So no, I love it. It's good.
Are there any plants of hers that you don't like?
That I don't like? No. I mean, I think some look nicer than others, and really that's probably the only way I have to judge any plant versus another plant, since again I don't know how to take care of them. I don't really know all the intricacies of plant care. It's more just for me like how they look. So while there might be some that I think look nicer than others, certainly none that I dislike, if you had to call it that. No, definitely not.
I can think of one that you might dislike, and you probably forgot about this one.
Oh.
This is when we were living in Richmond. Do you remember that palm that I had that had the super spiky stem and it kept poking you, and I told you to like throw it away, and you're like, I hate this plant because it was just so spiky and it kept poking you? You don't
No, I can honestly say I
that?
don't remember that. Maybe a case of purposely repressing memories or something. I don't know. I don't remember that. A palm?
Yeah, it was a Chinese fan palm.
Where did we keep it?
It was like, you know how there's that main window behind the couch?
Yeah.
Or like there's the two windows like this?
Like the corner.
Yeah, at one point it was like right in that center, like between the couches, and it kind of like went over the couch a bit.
Oh.
And
in the corner? No.
Yeah.
I don't know. And it poked me?
it multiple times and you were like, I hate this plant.
No, I don't remember that. And so we did throw it out?
Yeah, because it died.
Oh, it died.
And you were like
me.
super happy. No, you were like
okay.
super happy when we threw it out.
I don't really remember that, but okay.
If you could trade, this is really asking, if you could trade all of Charmaine's plants for something, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. I mean, like $1 million maybe, because that's the only thing that would probably suitably still make her happy. And you can buy new plants, but no, like there's no thing that you could just, you know, trade her plants for, because like...
Your house.
Well, that's what I mean, like unless you want to save just like crazy amounts of monetary value, either money or a house or something, where you could then just go and, you know, create a new collection, sure, but short of that, there's really nothing to...
Well, that's true, because if we trade it for a house, then I would still have to pay for the plants to fill up the house. But if we traded it for money, we could get a house and a new collection.
Yeah, so there you go. I'll stick with my original answer, $1 million.
Yeah. Well, maybe a little bit more than $1 million.
Oh, wow, okay. Good question.
How does it feel to be married to a legend? don't answer that.
Oh, it's, you know, I learn something new every day from being in the presence of greatness. So it's amazing.
Oh, you're funny. What are your favorite things to do together?
Ooh, watch scary movies is probably number one, I would say. Or just like scary shows, series. We definitely are homebodies.
Yep.
It's not as common for us to, you know, go spend a whole day somewhere. We'll make time for that, you know, when it gets to the point that we're kind of feeling a little cooped up. But honestly, we are homebodies. Love being at home with our buddy here, especially since Bud can't, you know, go everywhere with us all the time. So yeah, no, and you know what? It all kind of ties in. If you know anything from or about Charmaine from either knowing her personally or knowing her through her videos and stuff, it's like her home is her sanctuary. Our home is her sanctuary. The plants kind of play into that for sure.
Yeah.
And you know, people probably say that all the time, but she definitely means it. And this is her safe space. This is where she loves to be the most. And I'm the same. Like I haven't always been a homebody. Like I would imagine when I was in my, you know, teens and young adult years, yeah, I would go out a lot, but going into my 30s and stuff, it's like, yeah, I love being home. And we kind of mesh that way, so that's why, yeah, if you give us a choice, we would both love to just be at home, hanging out in our PJs, watching something good. And like I said, usually scary movies or scary shows tends to be the go-to these days. So yeah, it's probably our favorite thing to do.
Sorry for the audio. Pudge is just like, we're never just in this room together like this, so I think he's confused. He's like, what are we doing? Okay. Are you attached to any of the plants in your home? Like, would you be upset if Charmaine got rid of one?
Good question. I mean, there are some that I'm just like used to seeing. Well, there's a lot that I'm used to seeing. And again, as you guys, I'm not an expert, so I don't really know the names of them, but yeah, I think it would just be more a thing of like visually, if I saw one gone all of a sudden that I'm used to being, and be like, hey, what happened?
Example?
So I don't know what they're called, but like kind of right out here that they're hanging up and they kind of fall down. Like I remember when you had two of the same one at one point and then one moved, or you've rearranged them, and I'm like, wait, where did that go? So I like the, is it Micans?
Oh, the philodendron Micans.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a good one. I love that one.
Yeah, so I remember being like, hey, because I thought you had two and then one moved, and I was like, what the? So like that one I really like. I mean, I think the first tropical that I can, or type of tropical that I can even just remember you being really into, was the Monstera. And so, and I think I got you a Monstera when we first moved to the place down the hall. So like, I just have like an affinity for them, I guess.
Yeah.
Just because it's the first one that I knew you really liked, or
we always have Monsteras in the house.
yeah, that's what I mean. So if suddenly there were none, I guess that would be kind of a shock.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. how did he really feel, emphasis on really feel, that night when you first drank soju?
Oh, the crazy night?
Yeah.
I mean, like, there was a little bit of concern just because it was like a, I don't know, Wednesday night or a Thursday night or something, just completely random like that. To know that you were like pretty bombed, like that was just something I suppose a little bit concerning. But again, I knew who you were with, and you know, friends, definitely friends with Sunny too. It's not like it was a
rando.
Exactly, and again, the fact that we were in constant communication is what made me feel, you know, at ease. It would be different if like I was trying to get a hold of you at some point and you weren't responding. Then yeah, I'm sure I would have been a lot more concerned. But yeah, like I said, just the fact that you were in constant communication and we're like, okay, this is where I'm gonna be, and just come pick me up at this time. Okay, it was a little, like I said, obviously just weird and random on a weekday night.
Trust me, I was not expecting that night either. I thought I was just gonna eat food and go home, but
exactly. So yeah, it's a tad surprising to have that come up, but no big deal. Makes for a good story. So
it really does. What's your favorite J-Lo song?
My favorite J-Lo song? I don't know what's the title. Anyways, me and our mutual friends, Julian and Janice, they'll know this. Like, there's a stage when we were going out in our probably mid or early 20s where we would just sing that one song. The one from like the year 2000. There it is.
Oh, a classic.
Whoa. You would be here in my arms.
Or
that
like
way.
the green strobe
That's
light.
why. That's
Oh,
why. I don't know. I
gosh,
think
she
it had to
was
do with the fact that we were going out around this time, clubbing and stuff. Yeah, like
she's magical.
yeah, we would just, I don't know. There's at least a couple times with the three of us would just belt that that song probably like on the way to the club or something.
Oh
like
my
that.
god.
But yeah, what's it called?
Waiting for Tonight.
Waiting for Tonight. There you
It's funny because Janice asked this question.
Jesus, okay. Well, there you go. Now we know. And I realize now that's exactly the answer she was looking for. Thanks, Jen.
Did he ever buy his wife a surprise plant?
Yeah.
This story makes me sad.
Oh, yeah. Well, the ending, I suppose, but the beginning was nice. So yeah.
Take him through the whole process.
Yeah, like when we were getting ready to move in together for the first time, like I mentioned earlier, I think it was early 2017, gonna move into a place in Richmond, and I just like she wasn't signaling or anything like that, but she had just mentioned that there was a wish list plan of hers that came up on Craigslist, and she showed it to me, but it was, I think, fairly expensive at the time, so for her it really more just was like, oh, it's so beautiful, like I wish I could get it or whatnot. And it was the seller, again the private seller, was located in butt-ass nowhere, like far away.
Far.
So, and she didn't have a car at the time here in Canada, so again, for all intents and purposes, she was just kind of mentioning it to be like, oh, it would be nice. So took mental note of that, and then like I said, we moved into the place in Richmond early or mid-Feb, so I believe. So it was like around Valentine's Day, blah blah blah. So I just thought, you know, it would be very nice to kind of welcome us to our new place by having that planned. So went and got it, and then yeah, when we did the move, I don't know how, like we had a U-Haul, and either
you went to go get the U-Haul.
Or I went to go get the U-Haul, yeah, that must have been it. And then I went and did a trip out to wherever that guy was.
It was like in North Van
or no, yeah, somewhere far. It wasn't even, I think it was farther than North Van, to be honest. But in any case, went, got it, and then had it loaded in the U-Haul, and then said, surprise, here it is. When we got into the place and moved in.
That's not actually what happened. I thought you would tell him the whole story.
Well, I thought that's the gist of the story, isn't it?
Well, he called me and was like, I backed into a pole and it knocked over. And I was like,
shit, I totally forgot about it. Which wasn't that like partially true?
No, it was. I mean, he was trying to get me downstairs, but it was true. He backed the U-Haul into like the pole in the parking area, and I had to like finagle it back in, and then I opened the back of the U-Haul and it was just sitting there.
Oh, okay, there you go. I
was so happy.
Minor detail. But yeah, I mean the part that's sad is that eventually And we always name our when we buy a plant off a private seller, we name the plant the name of that private seller.
So his name was Frank.
It was Frank. So that Monstera, it was a Monstera. Yeah, that Monstera was Frank. And just for whatever reason, I don't remember. Was it thrips? Oh, freaking thrips, guys. If I'll tell you one thing, I'll tell you this. I hate freaking thrips. But yeah, no, thrips got to it. So eventually it had to be, well, it had grown and we had to tie it up and like really let it take over this one corner of the wall in the place down the way there. And
it's
huge humongous. But eventually, yeah, it just succumbed, unfortunately, to thrips, and so that's the sad part, is that we don't have Frank with us anymore.
So when I got thrips on that plant, I didn't actually know about thrips yet. I didn't know what thrips was, and I like, they're so tiny that like it's hard to see them unless you're looking, and I'm like, why is my plant dying so fast? I took it out of the pot, checked for root rot, checked for fungal stuff, nothing. And then finally one day I noticed these teeny tiny little things, and I'm like, what are these? And so that plant dying due to thrips was kind of like the thing that pushed me to like get online and start talking about thrips and start a blog about thrips, and just it was just like, because I was so sad that I had very a lot of emotional attachment to that plant, and I was just so sad.
Yeah, no, okay, I understand that.
But yeah, so yes, he has surprised me with the plant before. Does he feel like he needs to join a partner of a plant person support group?
No. I mean, like, I recognize and am fine with the fact that, sometimes I am called upon to do extra things here or there to help her out with her love of plants, and obviously she's acquired a lot of plants over time, and it has required me to be there to help with, like, I don't know, going to lug it somewhere or either pick it up or drop it off, or whatever the case may be. So that kind of just goes with the job. Like, I've sure maybe sometimes it's like, oh, okay, we got to go all the way to city X to go do this. All right, maybe I would rather do something else. But like I said, it's part of the gig, and it's all good. Again, I know the happiness it brings her, so it's definitely worth an afternoon here or there, no big deal. Yeah. So yeah, but no support group, no need.
No need.
Good.
I guess it's kind of related. How much do her plants annoy you, and is there anything one can do to prevent annoying said husband? So maybe like, because obviously you stated that the plants are not an issue for you and you're happy for me.
Yeah.
If you had to like just talk like husband to husband to someone who didn't feel that way, what would you say?
Yeah, like, I don't know. I guess I just always relate it to, like, if I was really into some kind of hobby, so long as it wasn't truly like infringing on Charmaine's space or her ability to like do what she wants to do at home, then I would hope that she would respect that that's something that I do or take part in, and it kind of takes up space, whatever. So I just kind of frame it that way in my head, is like, it's not at the point where it really affects me in such a way that I have to like say something or whatever. It's not to say that couldn't ever be a case. Like, we do only have so much space in our apartment, so if it got to the point where there were so many plants here that I like can't even walk from point A to point B without having to like move around and something like that, okay, sure, I think maybe that's when a line might have been crossed, and you have to have a conversation at that point. But with the way things are now, since it hasn't crossed that line, then like I said, I just frame it that way in my own head, where it's like, it isn't anything other than the most minor of inconveniences here at our place. And again, probably not even any kind of inconvenience, but again, some might think of it that way, if it's just like, maybe they don't want to see so many plants around. Okay. But again, always have those conversations and be honest with your partner about it. Like, if I had to give advice to someone who was kind of getting annoyed with their partner's you know, collection of plants or whatever, it really would be that. Is just don't let it fester to the point where, you know, you're kind of just silently getting, you know, annoyed or feeling some kind of way without telling them, because yeah, maybe they could change their habits in some ways, and maybe they have gone a little bit over the line with how many plants that they're acquiring or whatever, and it could just be a conversation that helps them realize, okay, we need to strike a little bit of a better balance. But you won't get there to that point if you don't communicate. So
Totally.
I think that's mainly it. So yeah, it's hard to kind of draw from personal experience, because again, I truly don't feel like that's ever been a problem in our actual house. So can't say that I've had to do that, but that would probably be my advice if someone was feeling that way.
Oh my gosh, look at this kid.
I know. Our poor baby.
Honey, it's gonna pick up the audio. Can you just stay on the floor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the reason it hasn't gotten to that point is because I just like try to remind myself that, like, obviously you're my husband, but like we're essentially roommates, and I don't know, I like to have a sense of balance between like your living space, like your actual functional living space, and your plants. So if you guys haven't noticed, like I tend to put all the plants against walls,
Yeah, up on a shelf.
And as much as I love the look of like the indoor jungle where it's just, you walk in and it's just plants everywhere.
Floor to ceiling.
Yeah, like just for me personally and for Vince, I know that's not practical, like just on an everyday sort of living situation. I like to have a lot of open space. I like it to feel minimal still and like simple, but still have that touch of like the plants, you know? So it's just kind of balancing space with the amount of plants you have. Pudge is so hot and bothered right now. He wants to sit on one of our laps.
But yeah, good point. I think that's just a product in some ways of just our personality types meshing very well, where number one, I'm pretty at ease with your choice in decorations, and then two, like you said, you aren't for the plants literally everywhere, floor to ceiling type of look. I think if there was a clash of styles in that sense, like if you were all for the just no jungle, and like I don't really care if you have to walk around all these plants in a normal walkway, like yeah, there could be
probably
issues.
would have had issues, yeah.
So I will say some of the fact that we don't have these conflicts is probably attributable to just literally we mesh well that way.
No, true. Get him to try to ID your plants. If he gets 5 right, he gets SEGGS.
Oh wow!
I don't think he could do it. I think he could do the Monstera, and probably that's it. And probably the rubber tree, because you know what a rubber tree looks like.
Yeah, I get looks I have.
But there's no way he would get 5.
Don't think so. Really don't think so.
You can't think of even 3 just random plant names.
There's different philodendrons.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah, off the top of my head, they're really not coming to me, but it's like, I've seen enough of your videos where if you did, or like, no, again, I just probably would be able to come up with it myself, but it's like, I bet there'd be so many as soon as like, well, and this is, and then once you blurt it out, I'd be like, oh, I knew that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I guess no SEGGS for you.
Ah, well.
Sorry. Do you ever put her on a plant ban?
No, never have. I mean, because I think it's one of those things where, we both whatever have our hobbies, and I think as long as the other doesn't see that it's becoming an actual problem, oh buddy, and that's our dog that we have to kill, then yeah, I wouldn't see the need to ever be like, you're on a ban. It's not to say that can't be an issue with other couples, other plant parents, but just hasn't really been an issue for us.
I think it would be different if I was like charging it on your card.
Yeah, sure, of course.
Yeah.
But like I said, we just kind of separate our hobbies into our own thing, and it's really just a matter of like, yeah, you're doing what makes you happy and you're not overextending yourself and spending way too much, putting yourself in debt to fund your hobby, then yeah, there's really no reason for you to feel like you have to stop.
Yeah.
Again, not to say I couldn't get to that, but I really don't see that being an issue. I don't know why you would go from right now that not being an issue to suddenly just like exploding and all of a sudden we have you know, way too many plants in the house.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening, so I think we're okay on that front.
Pudgy, you're really messing up the audio here, babe. You're so hot and bothered. We're not moving, we're here.
Yeah, we've been in the same spot the whole time.
No one's leaving you, okay? Just...
You're okay.
Okay. Do you ever get annoyed about how much time it takes? How much time of my time it takes?
No, like, I don't know. It's and again, all these answers is like, it obviously very much is just...
You can just pick them up.
Yeah. All of it is just a reflection of, you know, what works in our relationship. Because, like I said, we have, like, you know, certain things that we like to do together, which for the most part is like usually end of the day or end of the night. We'll sit and watch something together. I'm a complete night owl, so I have no problem like
I never see him sleep. I never see him sleep.
She jokes that I'm a vampire because I wake up earlier than her and go to sleep later than her. So, but no, getting back to my point is just like, I don't have a sense of like, oh, the things that we do together we need to do by this time, so you're taking too much time with your plans because we can't do this thing that we need to do together by the right time. Like, since that doesn't ever come up, where like even on days that we're say like on weekends where we're at home together, like during the day it really is for the most part like she goes and does her plant stuff,
we do our own thing.
And then, you know, at some point at night we'll obviously have dinner and we'll eventually be like, oh, okay, what time do you think you'll be done with your plant stuff? And she's like, oh, probably another couple hours or hour or so. I'm like, okay. And I go entertain myself, and then it gets to the time that we're gonna hang out. Like, no big deal.
Well, I think, and also, like, I would say you're very vocal about when you actually want to do something. Like, if there's a movie that you wanted to watch, or if there's a show that you, like, we're watching and it's like, you want to finish it, we not change our schedule, we tailor our schedules to, like, just knowing, like, oh, like, Vince wants to watch this movie, so I'm not going to work late, or I'm not going to do plant care stuff super late today.
Right.
And then there are some days where, like, you know, I'll be doing plant stuff and it's like 1 in the morning and Vince will text me like, it's time to go to bed.
Yeah, but that's pretty rare.
Yeah, but it's not like, it's not ever like, oh, you never spend time with me.
Yeah, I get, and as I've said already during this video a couple times, like, it's not going to be that way for everybody. I totally see that. It's just the way the dynamic of our relationship, the way it works is very conducive, I think, to, you know, her being able to spend, you know, time doing her plant stuff and it really not affecting me or us negatively. But that would not be the case for all people. Like, it's certainly nothing wrong with you know, a relationship where the dynamic is that, like, much more set boundaries need to be in place for how much time each partner kind of spends doing whatever their hobbies might be, and it is more important to have set times to do certain things together. Nothing wrong with that. It's just with us, it's a lot more kind of free flowing, and like I said, we make it work. Where if there is something either one of us needs to do or wants to do with the other person, we let the other person know.
Just like communication, really, what it comes down to. You know. High five. Yeah.
Good boy.
What is the craziest thing she has made you do to get a plant?
Well, like, there's been a number of times where, you know, she'll be like, what are you doing on Saturday? Can we go to city XYZ to go pick up a plant? And like, the only reason I would say it's quote unquote crazy is, I suppose there have been some times where it's pretty far to go. But that's really the extent of it, right? And like, definitely there have been some funny videos and photos that she's taken of me, like lugging these gigantic pots with huge plants in them.
My favorite is when he's holding a tall plant and he does this thing where he squats down to the floor really, really low, and then he walks while he's squatting to get in the elevator.
Yeah, just so that the
So
height of the
funny.
plant can like reach or go below the the top of the elevator door or whatever, just to get it through. Yeah, it's a tried and true way of getting it through, baby. You just gotta get low and waddle, essentially. Yeah.
Oh, how about the time? I'm not gonna drop any names.
Uh-oh.
Do you remember the time we went to go get those monsteras and like she made us go in for tea?
Oh snap! I completely forgot about that. Yeah, like, and I'll just say that at the time, I guess it was fine because like we literally sat and had tea with.
Yeah, no,
with
it was
a complete
great. It's
stranger,
not.
but-
That's not what I was. Yeah, that's not what I was like. Thought was weird. I actually
It's-
thought it was quite cute that she
Yeah.
invited us for tea and we talked.
rather
and
than just
chatted.
be like pick up
Pick
and
up
leave.
and go.
Yeah, it's just that later on,
She was
the person turned into a bit of a.
She was wild. She basically, long
Handful.
story short, she had this monstera that I wanted, and I went by to go pick it up, and then before I was gonna come, she's like, you know what, like, can you just take both of them since you're coming already? And I was like, oh, I actually don't need both. She's like, oh, I'll just give you a good deal for both of them so that you can get it at the same time. So I'm like, oh yeah, sure, I'll see if I can find a space for it in my house, and if I don't, then I'll just get rid of it. And then she's like, okay, yeah, come. So we go, we had tea, it was fine. And so I bring both of these monsteras home, and the monstera that I originally wanted was so much bigger than the photos looked. It was
Well, because she said,
massive.
didn't she say she'd been growing it for like 20
for
years or something?
so long.
Yeah,
it
they were
was
gigantic.
massive. The leaves were like probably this big. Like they were huge, and I did not think they were that big. So I'm like, there's no way that I can keep two of these. So like I said, I kept the one that I wanted, and then I resold the one that I bought from her for the price that I paid her in this deal. And she like sees it on Marketplace, and she just like she
Flipped out.
went off on me, and she wanted me to like bring back the plants, and she was super upset. And I just told her, I was like, I told you that this was gonna happen. I said, first, I didn't want the plant. Second, if I take the plant at this deal, if it doesn't fit, I'm gonna have to sell it. And she agreed, and it was fine. And then suddenly when it happened, like, you know, she got so upset.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, I would say
So it
that
ended up being a kind of a sour note with that whole interaction. But yeah, even just how it all came to be, where we went to go to pick up the plants, and ended up, you know, having a full-on tea party essentially. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a bit out there,
unexpected.
But yeah, other than that, just having to go kind of to far off places to pick up plants. Has been the only thing that's like maybe even just call it a minor inconvenience, but really not that big a deal.
I don't make him do it that often.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
That's why, like, here and there, I don't mind at all.
Do you ever worry her plant hobby will get out of control, like later down the line?
No, you know what, and I was just saying in answer to a previous question where, like, I don't really have reason to believe that you would go from where you're at now to it being out of control. Like, I mean, fine, just in and of itself, budget constraints. We don't have all the money in the world to just keep buying and never stop.
Yeah.
That's one thing. And then number two, like you're saying, just your own personal sense of how you want our place to be is you don't want it to be floor to ceiling plants, and you know, you want things to have a place and for it to make sense with how you envision your space. So for those reasons, I don't think I am at all concerned about that. If it ever, for whatever reason, started inching its way that way, then yeah, we would have a conversation. But like I said, no, she has been at it long enough now and kind of has a sense of, you know, what she wants out of her plant hobby, that I can't see it just like getting out of control.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. All I see on your shirt is a penis.
Oh, the holiday armadillo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that does look like the head
It
of a
looks
penis.
just
What the heck?
Like that looks like the penis and that's the shaft.
That's the head of the, I never.
So when I look at you, all I see is
Whoopsies.
Okay, I think there's 3 more questions. Is Charmaine as funny in real life as she is on Instagram?
100%. 100%. Like, and that's one of the things I love about her is how much we laugh, or how much she makes me laugh, for sure. And believe me guys, even knowing the stories that she puts up on her Instagram, like I'll often know the stories, even still, the telling of the stories and the way she writes it just freaking cracks me up. Like I'll be at work, you know, just scrolling mindlessly on a break or whatever, and it, you know, goes to her, or on my Instagram feed, it'll show a post that she puts up, and I get excited and I read it, and I'm just laughing to myself. So funny. But yeah, she absolutely cracks me up.
I thank you.
Yeah, we have a lot of laughs at our place, I will say that.
It's so funny because I feel like from, I would say, middle school up until like the end of high school, it's like I always kind of fell into like a girl group, right? Like your little clique. And I'm always like, you know, there's like the hot one and the popular one and like the sporty one or whatever. And I'm like, how come I can never just be like the hot one or the cute one? I'm always No, I'm always the funny one. Like they always just put that crown on me, the funny one. I was like, I don't want to be the funny one. I don't want it. But I think you just come to a...
You didn't choose this life chose you.
I mean, I guess. I wouldn't actually say that I'm super funny though. Like people always say, oh, you should do like stand up and just talk about like your life and stuff. But I could not do it. I could not do it.
And I think that sentiment comes up a lot because I have, you know, an example of a friend of ours who to me is the freaking funniest guy I've ever met, is our friend TJ. But it's the same idea where it's not, there's a big difference between being like stand-up comedy funny and just being a funny person, because you know, you don't do bits, like neither does he do bits, like you don't
there's like a certain amount of like entertainment
and then hit it with the punchline, like that's not the kind of humor we're talking about. There's just people who are just funny, and like it's like you strike when the iron's hot, you got this opportunity, and you know, something comes and you just say it, and it's just funny as hell. And that's yeah, like a lot different than just being like, oh, you're so funny, you should be a stand-up comedian.
Yeah, there's a difference between, I would say, having sort of like dry humor over like someone who can literally just make a crowd
launch into a joke.
Like I could never tell a joke ever.
Same here. I don't, like, I think people think I'm funny and I can be funny, but again, same. I don't take you on a ride where I'm like starting the story and like, you know, planning it out perfectly to hit you with the punchline at the end. Like, yeah, we're not that kind of funny people.
I don't have a punchline ever. Yeah. Okay, and with that said, I guess the last question would be, what is your funniest memory of or with Charmaine?
Funniest memory together. Ooh.
You can think about it if you
That is a good question.
Do you even have one?
Like a straight up moment where you would say this is our funniest moment. I don't know, you have any?
I can't think of any.
I'm just trying to think. Like on an everyday basis, we always make each other laugh. So there's like that kind of just sustained level of humor in our relationship. I think that is how I would characterize it, versus like, oh my god, and then you won't believe what we got up to last Saturday. Holy crap. We were at blah blah blah, and then we like that. I don't know.
Like we've never like shut down a bar. Like we're not those kinds of people. We're actually both, I would say, very like chill and
yeah, of course, not
timid, but like we sort of just blend in.
Well, and yeah, our crazy days behind us probably, as far as like like wild incidents. One that could be, it's funny to think back on, but like, I don't know, you might have been a tad worried at the time too, is okay, so let's take it back to our wedding in 2017. So we got married twice, essentially. 2016 was here in BC.
That is going to be an entirely separate video, by the way.
Okay, I won't spill the beans. There were two weddings. in order to facilitate the immigration process, let's just say. The second wedding, the big wedding, which happened in California, that was in June 2017. We had an amazing night. The mistake I made that night was to not eat enough and not drink enough water. And like just knowing our friends and family, like we're when we're all together and it's a big celebration like a wedding, yeah, we're gonna drink. Yeah. I drank a lot.
Oh yeah, you
and so I thought I was good for the majority of the night, but let's just say by the time it got to the end of the night and there was just the very select last few were still hanging around along with us, obviously. I obviously got to the blackout drunk stage of the proceedings. And so like it all went downhill fast. Like I was apparently standing in the living room of the place that hosted our wedding. I was talking to CHARMAINE, my brother, my sister-in-law, his wife.
What is happening down there, kid?
He's chasing his tail.
Oh my.
Poor guy.
Gosh.
We were just standing in the living room apparently having a conversation, and I'm like kind of have my hand up against a rocking chair, like slowly go from just like being okay to coherent to just it all hit me, and I fell flat on the ground. I vomited on myself apparently, and it was just, and at that point, from that point on apparently, and we weren't staying at the place that I'm talking about where I passed out or got to this point. We weren't staying there. We still had to go take a shuttle back to the hotel, well, the place that we were staying. But from that point on, I was dead weight. Like I was out. But not completely unconscious, because the funny story, or the funny part that I remember, was I just when I was being transported in the shuttle van going back, I guess, to the where we were staying, wasn't I basically being like, take off my pants, someone take off my pants.
He was hollering,
absolutely
hollering and whining. He wanted me to take off his belt.
My belt.
He was screaming, take off my belt, take off my... I'm holding his belt. I'm like, bro, I have your belt. And then he wants to take off his pants in a van full of people. Mind you, there was a very suspicious looking woman in the front seat who I believe had been picked up by the shuttle driver. Anyway, he wanted to... Yeah, he did not want his belt. He hated his belt. He wanted to take his pants off in the car.
And I was wailing.
Oh, wailing. You guys, it is a sound that I think only maybe whales can hear in a pitch that I really, it's like those, like the whale songs, like in the ocean, you know, they make all those like,
getting to the point of echolocation.
Yes, it was a very echolocation. I'm like, is someone gonna come right now? Like, this is ridiculous.
Like demon exorcist type stuff. So yeah, I was just like, and again, I don't know what I would have needed to be wailing about.
It was the belt.
But no, just the idea of like me being in a mental state where I want so badly for my belt to be taken off. It already was. Well, why would that cause me to be because that's essentially what happened. Like, I think
it's because your stomach hurt, honestly, because you were vomiting.
Well, I had vomited by that point.
Yeah, you had vomited, and yeah, I think you were just generally uncomfortable in your outfit.
Okay.
But as soon as we got back to the hotel,
that's the only reason. Why else would I be just like acting like someone's murdering me? It just doesn't make sense. Okay, so I was feeling badly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that one, again, maybe it's not a story that's particularly funny to me because I was on the crap end of that story, but I just think anyone who witnessed it, like CHARMAINE, like, you know, my brother and Whitney, his wife, you know,
bless my sister-in-law.
She held it down for sure. So like for them, I'm sure I think that was a funny story, but
Wish you were there.
I missed a lot of
I know. I was sober, super sober. Okay, so I think that before we close off this video, I think let's just have you give them one more message, to just your general ending message to the partners out there that may not understand the plant hobby or agree with how many plants that we have. Not considering the kind of relationship that we have per se, but just as your like mentality as a partner, like.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would just be to say like, try to see it for what it is, which is something that brings them happiness. I can see how much she enjoys the plant hobby and just the plants themselves, and having a space that is full of plants. Like, keep that in perspective. If that's what it takes for you to be happy, and there isn't anything unhealthy going on, because sure, any hobby can get to unhealthy levels. As long as it's not that, then just keep that perspective in mind, where it's like, wouldn't you want your partner to be happy? And that's how I see it, is she's engaging in a hobby that brings her so much joy that I really don't feel like there would be any reason for me to kind of infringe on that or impose myself and be like, well, I think it's too much. Like, ask yourself, is it really worth potentially taking away whatever amount of happiness they're getting out of the hobby just for you to, potentially get like a tiny bit more, I don't know, space back in your place. Like, again, there's definitely a balance to be had. So this isn't to say you should just enable someone who might be going overboard. No, that's definitely not my advice. But I just think, like, unless you're at that point where you can objectively say that they are going too far. If it's less than that, then even if it is a minor inconvenience to you as a partner, just ask whether it really is worth going to them and asking them to, like, either hold back or whatever. Is it worth the reduction in the joy that they get out of it, out of that hobby, to take that step? Maybe it is, but maybe it isn't. And I think maybe just try to ask yourself if you are at that level. If not, then yeah, it can be a thing where you're making a little bit of a sacrifice, but that's the case for all relationships. There's going to be times where you need to make a little bit of a sacrifice to make it work. So
yeah,
maybe that's the point that you're at in that situation. So yeah, that would be my advice, I think.
That's good advice. So cute. I guess I should probably give the other end of that also, is that I think that there's like I actually think that you have to learn that healthy amount of plants for yourself, because I was at a point where, I don't know if you remember, but it was like super jungly. I had like 4 monsteras, like it was mostly big plants, and I got thrips, and it was just such a battle to like combat them. And I think that was the first time in this hobby where I was like, I have too many. Like too many that I can't manage it. We have no space, and I was feeling sort of suffocated. So I would say, like, you are going to communicate and ask your partner to make a sacrifice, whether that's space or whatever in the house. But I think that on our side of it too, we also have to be mindful that these people you live together, like you have to be also respectful of what they want in their home. So I would say utilize shelves. Going vertical is very helpful so that you're not having plants all over the floor. I would say don't collect multiples of the same plant, especially if they're like big plants. And just try and keep things to walls. I find that like kind of isolating them along walls, along high shelves and stuff, it's like you can still get that look of like, wow, it's like a jungle in here, but there's like plenty of space to live.
That's a good point.
So yeah, I don't want people to listen to this and think like I'm just trying to convince partners to like just give in and let them do whatever they want, because I do think that there has to be sort of that healthy boundary.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think then another piece of advice would be to early on establish, like be very clear between each other, establish what those boundaries are. That way, it can't be thing where you know, one person thinks that how many plants are in the house is too much, and the other person has no idea because they think, well, no, that's not what I was thinking. So set those expectations, right?
Yeah.
If you're the partner who knows that you want to keep collecting more and having your collection grow, then you know, talk about it with your partner and just say, like, you know, I think I do want to keep expanding the collection, so it's gonna take up a bit more space in the place. Like, what would you say is too much? You know, just really be clear. How do you feel about that? Yeah, absolutely. So approach that first. Like, see if that's something that they're okay with. If they aren't, then talk out the reasons why. But then if they are okay with it, of like, okay, yeah, sure. Like, I think you could certainly have enough space to expand your collection, but like set the boundary at that point. Okay, well then, would you be okay with if I put another shelf in this part of this room and basically fill it up with plants? Would that be okay? If you come to that agreement, then that has to be it. Like, until you have the next conversation, if you want to grow it more. That way there are no misunderstandings of one kind of being like, oh, well, but you said you know, you would be okay with us having more plants. Fine, but if you don't define what that means, then you could still...
defining it is very important.
Yeah, so that's what I would say. And I think, again, just full circle back to us, my example of that is, like, literally when we first said that we were going to move in together, I said to you, you do all the decisions on interior design, like on how we design our place, because I have no preference. I don't have a sense of like, I want our place to look like this, or I want, you know, there to only be this much of this type of, you know, decoration or thing in our place. I just never had a sense of that. I'm just very comfortable with your choices. I could already tell that I was gonna like however you sort of wanted to design our place, and I honestly think that'll probably always be the case. So for us, I think that was the understanding from day one. Was just like, I'm okay with what you wanted to do with the place. Again, that's not saying everyone should be the same way and just give their partner carte blanche to decorate everything. I'm just saying that's what worked for us. We defined early on that I was cool with you know, making those kind of choices. So that's the way it's been ever since. So for all the other, you know, partners out there or partnerships out there, just come to that understanding of what you can both live with and then stick to it.
I think we got through all the questions.
Yeah.
So would you like to pick up our pug so we can say goodbye and get into bed and watch a movie? Okay. So that was it for the Q&A. Thank you guys for watching. I'm very sorry if the audio is going to be super weird in this video. I'm going to try and sync my camera to this mic because it's not connected. And I'm just not really sure where this video is going yet, but at least we got the answers to Vince's burning questions. Thank you, Vince, for being here. Thank you, Pudge, for being here as always. Pudge, would you like to say anything? Would you like to say thank you for watching, and thank you for subscribing? Thank you for all the comments, all the likes, all the dislikes, and we'll see you next week. Yeah? Do you want to give him a high five? High five! Bye. Bye.